Welcome to God Answers Prayer. I'm Linda Tiano, your host today. And as we start this time together, let's go to the book of Philippians 4, chapter 4, verses 12 and 13. I know what it means to lack, and I know what it means to experience overwhelming abundance. For I'm trained in the secret of overcoming all things, whether in fullness or in hunger. And I find that the strength of Messiah's explosive power infuses me to conquer every difficulty. Susie Jennings is an overcomer. She's a founder, a president of Operation Care International. Her story will inspire and empower you. We'll be right back. Well, we're back with Susie Jennings with Operation Care International. Susie, welcome to God Answers Prayer. It's good to have you with us.
Thank you. Such a blessing.
Amen. So tell us a little bit about yourself, and before we get into Operation Care International, now you are from the Philippines, am I correct?
Yes.
Tell us about your journey.
Well, I came in America in 1982 as a nurse. I was hired from the Philippines by Baylor Hospital in Dallas, and then I got here. I met my late husband at First Baptist Dallas. We got married, and for 9 years we were married. And one day, March 9, 1993, my late husband David left our home. He was suffering from a chemical imbalance called serotonin deficiency, and he disappeared for 30 days. He was missing. And then, but I never told anybody that I have a missing husband. And when people in church will ask me, I would just say, "Oh, he was somewhere looking for a job," because he lost his job. So, but he was severely depressed. He had a chemical imbalance called serotonin deficiency that caused severe depression. And so he was found on April 8, 30 days later in Atoka, Oklahoma, because the farmer found his car in Atoka. And so they reported it to Mesquite. They tracked it down from Mesquite. That's where I live. And then the detective came to my house and told me they found a car, but David was not there. So the next day we went as a team, 3 pastors, myself, the detective, and my father-in-law. We went to Oklahoma. And then there, at 12 noon, I heard a gunshot fired on the air. And then I knew that was a signal. So we went there and we found his body. David shot himself. He had been dead for 30 days, we believe.
Oh, my goodness.
30 days. And that was a very sad moment. Like,
yes.
When the police told me they found a body, I felt like the whole world, the weight of the world was on my shoulder. And then I remembered going home in the car, David's car. My pastor drove it back home. I remember at the back of the car, I was lying down and I was singing the hymns. That was the hymns that connected me to David, because first Sunday, I went to First Baptist Dallas. As soon as I got here, I went to church, and that's where I met David in the church. And I think what attracted me to him was that I memorized the hymns. We were singing hymns at the evening service, and he was asking me, "Where did you come from? How did you know all the hymns?" We were classmates in Sunday school. So anyway, so the hymns that we were singing in the beginning when I met him was the same hymns that I was singing in that car, coming home from the area in Atoka, Oklahoma. It was a mountainous, kind of a hilly part of Atoka. That's where we found him dead. But the hymns, the one gave me hope. And while David was missing, I would read Psalms chapter by chapter. And Psalms 30 verse 5 said, "Weeping may endure for a night, joy comes in the morning."
Amen.
So the joy was the one, I hold on to the verse joy. And then my story was that 3 months after that, I had a car accident, so I could not walk. I became disabled for 2 months. I could not walk. Then when I started walking, September 7, 1993, my next door neighbor, 30 feet from me, he shot his heart. he committed suicide. So my husband committed suicide, and then my uh, neighbor committed suicide. And that made me very mad. I questioned God why. And that same night, September 7, 1993, God gave me the answer. He gave me a dream. In my dream, I was knocking at my neighbor's doors, telling them about Jesus. Next day, I woke up. I decided I'm going to choose joy because the Bible, the Psalms 30, verse 5, joy comes in the morning. So when David was missing for 30 days, I would read Psalms chapter by chapter. It gave me life. The word of the Lord became life to me.
Yes.
And it carried me. And so when my neighbor shot himself, that's when I got mad. Got mad at God. But God answered my question, the why question. That dream. I was knocking at my neighbor's door. He gave me a dream. I was knocking at my neighbor's doors, telling them about Jesus. Next day I woke up. I decided I'm going to choose joy. So I said, God, what can I do for you? I was raising my hand at the foot of my bed, asking God, what can I do for you? Then 3 weeks later, I was driving from First Baptist Dallas going home to Mesquite. I was passing by a bridge, and then I heard a voice in my heart telling me, look at your left side. So I looked at my left side, and then I saw about 100 men and women living in cardboard boxes under the bridge. And then the voice of the Lord said, you go under the bridge and help the homeless. And I said, no, not me. I said, those are crazy people. I'm not going there. They're dirty. And when I was growing up in the Philippines, my mother used to feed the homeless. And I did not like it. They ate my food, occupied my space. And one of them even slapped me when I was growing up. 10 years old, when I was in the marketplace, the lady who was mentally ill, homeless, she slapped me. So you could understand why I did not like homeless people.
Right. And yet your mother set the example.
Yes, until I got to America, and then until the call of the Lord. So God called me to a ministry I did not like, people I did not want. And the Lord changed me completely because I said, no, I'm not going. I heard it in my spirit. I had a conversation with God. That bridge became my road to Damascus experience. I actually really heard the voice of God in my heart and my spirit. And then when he said, you ask me, what can you do for me? And then I said, oh God, forgive me. Yes, I would go. What could I take to the people? And the Lord, in my heart, I heard, he said blankets. And then, poof, he was gone. The voice was gone. So the next day I went to Baylor Hospital. I was nurse supervisor at Baylor in recovery room. Then I asked all doctors and nurses for $5 so I could buy blankets, because that was what God told me. I said, what could I bring to these people? He said, blankets. So I became, for the next following 8 years, I became the blanket lady of Dallas. That's me and my mama, my widowed mother, would buy all blankets every Saturday. I would load my trunk, and then I would give away blankets all week long to the homeless. And also, I lost my sense of smell. I could not smell the homeless smell.
Ah, wow.
Check it out.
That's amazing. And so that's gone on. And so, so are you the actual founder of Operation Care International?
Yes, because after 8 years of doing Blanket Lady, I was, as what I said, I became the Blanket Lady of Dallas.
Right.
That was the label that the homeless gave to me. And Dallas Morning News also. They featured my story. And then after 8 years, the Lord put in my heart that we would become a nonprofit, because I could not stand it anymore. The work was so big, because my garage had 500 blankets in my garage, and it will fall every time you go inside the garage. The blanket will fall on my head, and it will fall on my mother's head every time we opened our car doors. And so I told God, I said, I could not stand this. I'm very tired. It's only my mama and me for 8 years. And then the Lord said, you're going to become a nonprofit. I heard the same voice. And I said, how could I become a nonprofit? I don't know anything. with business. You know, I am a nurse. But then see, when God calls, when he gives you a vision, he gives provision. The following, about 2 weeks later, my best friend called and said, why don't you become nonprofit? Nate, my husband, will set you up. And that's how we became a
There you
nonprofit in
go.
2001. And I founded, I'm the founder of the ministry.
Wonderful. So, now, so for 33 years you were a nurse, right?
Yes.
And then when you started the nonprofit, then you left that part of your
Yes, I was still a
career.
nurse. I started in 2001. For 10 years, I stayed as a nurse and at the same time leading Operation Care. So for 10 years, I worked 16 hours a day because I would work for Operation Care, raising money and doing ministries. And then I would work as a supervisor at Baylor, you
Uh-huh.
know, running 3 different units in the recovery room at Baylor. So for 10 years, I did 16 hours a day. So I think God trained me to work really hard and long because the ministry is hard. You know, I mean, ministry is hard with not a lot of manpower. Right now, it's just me and uh, just a part-time worker, and we have another staff, but he's in Florida. He's our graphic artist. So that's it. But he ran the ministry. And Operation Care is known to host the largest birthday party for Jesus in America.
So, as you went out on, as you went to those people under the bridge, and I mean, you encountered so much, and I would have to think that your career as a nurse also worked into all of that as well. Correct?
Yes, yeah, because God put me in a caring ministry.
Yes.
Nursing is about caring for
Absolute.
people. It's all about
Right.
people, people. It's nothing to do with papers, papers, papers. No, it's all about people, relationship, you know. So the Lord trained me to be in a caring ministry, and then He took me out, and He took me to a higher calling. I could say it's higher calling because only few people will do really homeless ministry. You know, a lot of people would do other ministries, but homeless is hard. I mean, it's a hard ministry because you don't really see a lot of your success stories. You have some success stories, but because they're transient, you don't really see a lot of that. But hey, the Bible said Jesus left 99 for the sake of one,
Amen.
only
Amen.
for the sake of one. So I'll do it again over and over for the sake of one. Plus, that is my calling. God
Right.
specifically called me and told me to help the homeless. And what an irony! God have a sense of humor that He used me to minister to people I didn't like. So now I quit my job. I also became homeless in the street of Dallas for one day
Yeah.
because God told me, He said, you go in the street and become homeless for 24 hours. And it opened my heart to the plight of the homeless because I never slept a wink. I was scared to death that I would be raped, that I would be assaulted, that I would
Mm-hmm.
be, you know, the woman next to me, she was also schizophrenic, that she would pace. So we were sleeping on the pavement. It's a parking lot of a church. That's where about 150 homeless were sleeping at night. And so I was there next to this homeless woman that I knew in the street. Her name is Marina, but because she is mentally ill, she got mad at me when I got there. I pretended to be homeless. And when I got there, she was very mad because she said, you know, that's her territory. And
Mm-hmm.
then I came, and so I was scared that she would ask people to rape me. Really, I didn't sleep a wink. I
Yeah.
prayed all night long, and but it opened my eyes to the plight of the homeless. That some of these homeless people, men and women, could not even sleep at night. They're scared to death.
Right. I can
So that
imagine.
became, yeah, I became more empathetic, and so I was glad the Lord asked me to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know we're going to talk a little bit more, but there's some stats I found that the impact that Operation Care International has made, and we're going to go over those when we come back because you're making a big impact there in the area, and I know that the Lord is increasing what you're doing, so we're going to find out more about that. But I want to speak to our audience right now, and maybe you too have been homeless. Maybe you are homeless and you're just happen to be seeing this. there's someone who cares about you. And maybe you feel like there's nothing that you can do, that your life is worth nothing. And yet the Father has said that he has plans. He has a purpose for every one of our lives. And you're unique in the giftings that He's placed within you. So if that's you, if you're struggling today, will you give us a call? The number's right there on the bottom of the screen, and we have prayer partners that will pray with you and love on you. And our prayer is that you will come to know the extravagant love that Yeshua, Jesus, has for you. We'll be right back after this. Well, we're back with Susie Jennings with Operation Care International. And Susie, I found these online. It was like the impact since 2004. I'm not sure how up to date they are, but 334,275 homeless and impoverished have been served. 50,436 are volunteers that are serving. 49,017 are professions of faith, and 170,000 are foot washings. So maybe you can enlarge upon that. It's wonderful to hear that you now have all these volunteers helping you. That's incredible.
So after we became a nonprofit, God opened the door for another bigger vision. Wherein we held the largest birthday party for Jesus in America, where the guests are the homeless and the poor. Because the Bible said, call the lame and the poor, because the rich will not come.
Yeah.
So together with me and my chairman of the board, we said, why don't we have a party at the convention center? We invite the poor and the homeless, the destitute, the prostitute, the ones that are, outcasts of the society, and bring them in, and then we become the bridge. Remember, I was called while I was passing a bridge. So Operation Care became a bridge between the homeless under the bridge and the community. So on that party, we partnered with other community partners, so they would come and they would have their own brochures or their own, articles about their ministries, so they could help the homeless and the poor all year round. So that's what we did. So in our party, the heart of the ministry is evangelism, and the trademark is foot washing. So why foot washing? Because we are emulating the character of Christ. And foot washing is about Christ's humility, servanthood, and compassion. So that was the last thing that Jesus did before he went to the cross. So we just finished Easter, right? So that's how we do the work, is we emulate the character of Christ. And we also provide for their physical needs. So when they come to our party, we provide food, sleeping bags, blankets, personal care items. And we also have different services like medical. We have lawyers that would come. We have eyeglasses. In children's area, we have zip lines. We have rock wall climbing. We have petting zoo, pony rides, living nativity. Last December, we have real camel that came. Camel and the sheep and lots of different animals. So we did petting. We have a donkey. So we have petting zoo, and it was truly a joyous occasion. Over 6,000 people came.
Wow.
In the first event in 2004, we have 10,000 people that came to our event. We have 8,500 homeless and the poor, and about 1,500 volunteers that came from 122 churches in the Metroplex. That was in 2004. So we have been doing this for 21 years. So this year is 22 years.
Wow.
Dallas Convention Center.
Yeah.
So this year is December 20. At the Dallas Convention Center, 8:30 to 1 p.m. That would be the event.
Wonderful. You're talking about the foot washing. That's such an intimate thing.
Yes.
And when you think about it, I don't know if you that are viewing or thinking alongside me on this, but the people that have been down and out, their feet are probably not in the best condition. To have somebody come and wash their feet for them and pray over them, that's where miracles happen, I bet.
Yes. Oh, it's such a very touching area because washing dirty feet, smelly, stinky, and dirty. I mean, that's our sin. Stinky, smelly, dirty, and Jesus still gonna wash it. So we're
Amen.
following Jesus' character. And yeah, we had an event, I think 2 years ago, when a couple came and they didn't really want to come. They were like, oh, nobody cared for us. Nobody will, talk to us. And that was their idea. But as soon as they got inside the convention center, the love of Christ was shown to them. They were given eyeglasses, and then they were taken to foot washing area. And the guy, he hugged his wife and he said, I married my wife in September. That was 3 months before. And he said, for the first time, I could see her face now. And he was
Oh,
crying. He never, you know what I mean? Because he could not see. So we gave him eyeglasses, and then he said, now you're washing our feet. So he cried because he had that,
wow.
his idea that nobody cares.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No.
And we care. Jesus cared. So could you imagine just making a difference in the life of that couple that changed their lives? So Operation Care is all about making a difference and changing a life, even just for the sake of one. We'll do it again. So that's what we do over and over every year, and we connect them to different shelters and different ministries so they could be helped all year round.
Yeah.
And we don't do only a one event. No, every year we have 8 events. We have 4 events, kind of big events, and then we have 4 street events. In the fall, summer, winter, spring, and then
Wow.
we have 4 events. The biggest one is at the convention center. The rest are in the South Dallas, which is the kind of a poor area of Dallas. That's where we go in there and minister to the people by washing their feet, sharing Jesus, and giving them food, clothing, and school supplies. So we'll have another event in July 26 in Dallas, and about 1,000 people are expected to come. And in July, we also do a Christmas. It's called Christmas in July, and we're going to go to Puerto Rico to minister to 1,000 very poor children in Puerto Rico. We're going to a place that is pretty dangerous in that area in Puerto
Right.
Rico, where it's a drug infested area. But we are excited because we are not afraid. They said it's dangerous. We're not afraid because we're gonna minister to those children. And who knows, when the children get saved, they could tell their parents to go to church with them, and the parents will be saved.
That's
So
right. Yeah. That's beautiful.
yeah,
So
so
so the ministry is expanding. I mean, have you had anybody do this in other cities as a result of
yes,
what they see in
yes,
Dallas?
ma'am. 2020 was a bigger. The vision was given to me by the Lord by saying He spoke to me while I was at the prayer mountain. Every January 1 to 7, I would go out of my home, and then I will locate an area where I could pray and fast. So I've been doing fasting and praying January 1 to 7 for 13 years, up to 2025 now. January 1 to 7, I go out. And during this fasting time, God spoke to my heart saying this birthday party for Jesus will be in different parts of the country, in 50 states and 193 countries all over the
Wow.
world. So now me personally have done Christmas in July in 18 countries. 19th will be Puerto Rico personally, and I ministered and spoke evangelism to the children, 46,000 children personally, and we
Amazing.
built school. We have a school in Kenya at the Maasai tribe. We have a school in Cambodia. We have a medical clinic for the orphans in Cambodia. We also helped build a school in Ariel in Israel. And also, we have given money in 2020, December 2020, during the pandemic. God put in my heart to distribute money so that people around the world could celebrate Jesus' birthday so they could buy shoes because of foot washing. So, two
Amen.
things we like to do is to share Jesus and to wash feet. So, that's what Operation Care is all about, sharing the
Amen.
gospel and washing dirty feet because we would
Well,
like to emulate Jesus.
amen. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing with us about all of this. And I hope for those of you that are watching that this has touched your heart. I know it really has touched mine. And there's so many people out there that are hurting and lost. And the Lord is calling us all to be more compassionate, to be His hands and His feet. And today, I just want to say to you, if you're listening today and you have not said yes to the greatest gift of love that was ever given to mankind, Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Messiah, I pray that today is your day of salvation. And that's what Yeshua means, is salvation. He is our salvation. So if that's you, will you give us a call? We've got prayer partners who love to pray, and they will pray with you, and they will. We want to make sure you get a Bible. And today, as we close out, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May He make His face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May He lift up His countenance upon you and give you His everlasting peace. Shalom, shalom.
Thank you for joining us today on God Answers Prayer. If you or someone you know would like to be a guest on our program, please contact us by visiting kchftv.org and click on Share Your Testimony. Our prayer partners are here to pray for your needs. Call us today at 505-345-4165. We appreciate your prayers and support. Join us again next time for more inspiring stories and testimonies. Remember, God is always listening, and He answers our prayers in His perfect timing.